Hey there. Have you ever been ghosted or criticized or left on red and just felt it in your body? I mean, not just emotionally, but I mean like actual pain, an ache in your chest or knots in your stomach, and you feel like crying or just shutting down. Now, some people will say, well, that's hurt feelings, but your body says otherwise, and it's not wrong. Your brain processes rejection in the same way it processes physical pain. That's why a tiny moment of rejection can sometimes feel like you've been hit by a freight train. And if you live with ADHD or autism or BPD or trauma, that hit can feel so hard. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about why rejection can feel like actual pain, what helps when it does, and how learning to name your emotions can help. Now, if you already know that you need help with that, I've made you a free guide. How to name what you feel and why it matters. And if you check out the pinned comment, you'll find the link. Talk a little bit about the brain science here and why rejection equals pain physically. So, when researchers put people in fMRI machines and show them images of social interaction that indicate rejection, guess what lights up? It's the anterior cingulate cortex. And that's the same region of your brain that lights up when you get burned, punched, or physically hurt. That's the part of the brain that screams danger when something hurts, and that's physically or socially. And that's why a cold shoulder from someone else or an unanswered message doesn't just hurt emotionally, it can ache physically. It lingers, it can knock the wind out of you. Because to your brain, rejection isn't just unpleasant, it feels like a survival threat. And here's why. Because back when we lived in small tribal groups, being excluded meant you were vulnerable. You might get less food, less protection, and less chance of survival. So the brain evolved a pain system for social threat to motivate you to stay close to your people and avoid exile. The problem is now your nervous system still reacts that way even in this day and age of being able to get a pizza delivered without even having to talk to anyone. So, who can feel the sting of rejection more and why? Some people feel rejection like, it's no big deal. It's I shot my shot, whatever. Others feel it like they've been just obliterated. And if you're neurodivergent or you've had some trauma in your life, you might have a system that's wired to expect danger in social connection, like it's already on high alert when you're interacting with others. So let's break it down a little bit more. Now, with ADHD, there's a big association with rejection sensitivity dysphoria, right? Also called RSD. So maybe you get one weird look or one text that took forever to get returned or one suggestion that you didn't do something right. And suddenly you're kind of spiraling into shame or rage. And it's all because your nervous system kind of fires like it's a five-alarm fire. And with autism, we often also see this kind of rejection sensitive dysphoria. Autistic folks often grow up being misread, excluded, or punished for not doing social things right. So every rejection, real or perceived, kind of hits harder. It just kind of builds. And it's not just the moment, it's all the moments that came before. It's a system that's learned to expect rejection and code it as proof that you don't belong. Remember how we talked about how your brain really perceives it as dangerous to be excluded from the tribe. Now, we also see this with BPD, borderline personality disorder. For folks with BPD, even tiny signals like a change in tone or a missed call can feel like they're being pushed off of the cliff into the abyss, just total abandonment. And when you've been chronically invalidated, your brain learns learns that people can disappear fast, even people you felt you could depend on, and love can sometimes be fragile. So it makes sense that that rejection feels so overwhelming. Your nervous system isn't necessarily overreacting. It's kind of remembering how quickly safety can vanish. And with trauma and complex PTSD, rejection can kind of re traumatize. You may not be thinking about past wounds or past difficulties, but your body kind of responds as if it's being abandoned or shamed or shut out all over again. Your conscious mind may say, this isn't a big deal, but your nervous system, it's firing on all cylinders. Something to remember when there's physical pain because of rejection is that naming your emotions, even imperfectly, helps reduce their intensity. And this is a strategy called name it to tame it. I didn't make that up. That's Dan Siegel. He's super famous in psychology world. But when you label what you're feeling, your prefrontal cortex kind of kicks in and it helps you step out of pure reaction mode and into a more regulated state. But for lots of folks, especially those with trauma or neurodivergence or alexithymia, naming emotions isn't easy. You might feel numb or flooded or stuck with just, I don't know, right? So remember, I've got that guide for you. It's in the pinned comment to help you learn how to name emotions. Gives you lots and lots of ideas on how to do this. So let's also talk about some other tools to handle rejection that feels like pain. Now, you can't make rejection feel good, but you can make it a bit more survivable. So let's talk some strategies. Number one is to recognize it as real pain and remind yourself that this hurts because my brain codes rejection like a survival threat. Saying that out loud or even internally helps reduce shame around feeling rejected. It reminds you this isn't you being dramatic. This is just how human nervous systems work. Another strategy two, is about soothing the system. So when rejection pain lives in the body, you might want to respond to the body. So trying warm tea or a weighted blanket, a hot shower, or sensory grounding like touching something soft or smelling a scent you find calming. Think of it like treating a minor injury, but remember not to blame yourself for being injured. The third strategy I want to talk about is I'm going to call it flip the signal. So rejection tells your body you're not safe, you don't belong, and you're going to get left alone by the Serengeti to die of thirst and hunger. Instead, let's send a new message. You can text someone you trust, cuddle your pet, write yourself a Post-it note that says, this pain makes sense, I still like you. You're not trying to erase the pain. Just give your system kind of another input, a different form of data. Let's face it, rejection hurts, and it's not because you're weak, and it's not because you're dramatic, and there's nothing wrong with you. You feel it deeply because your nervous system is tuned for connection. Just is. That's the way it works. And when connection feels threatened, it reacts. Maybe that wiring came from trauma. Maybe that wiring came from neurodivergence. Maybe it's from BPD, a personality disorder. Maybe it's all of the above. But the truth is, your system responds this way because it's trying to protect you. That's it. That means it's working. It means it's not broken, just tuned for a danger that might not be here anymore. So, if you found this helpful, please like or subscribe. If you want to learn more about rejection sensitive dysphoria, we got a video for you to take a look at. I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care now. Bye.